My name is Mrs. Karen. I am 38 years old. I want to tell you my story. It began on a very cold morning. I woke up and felt a heavy pain in my head. The pain was sharp like a knife. Pressing, I tried to stand, but I felt weak. The kitchen smelled of coffee, but I could not drink it. Even the sound of a spoon in a cup hurt me. I sat at the table and pressed my hands against my forehead. My husband looked at me. His eyes were worried. You should see a doctor, he said. I wanted to say no. I wanted to say it was only stress, but the pain was too strong. My children asked why I looked sad. I could not answer. I only said, Mama is tired. Later that morning, I went to the clinic. The doctor was tall with kind eyes. He asked, where's the pain? Touched my head and said, here it comes every day. Sometimes strong, sometimes less, but it is always there. He pressed my shoulders with his hands. These muscles are hard, he said. Do you worry much? I told him. Yes, I worry about money, my children, my house, my work. He smiled and wrote something on a paper. He gave me two things. The first was pills. Take one each day, he said. The second was a list. On the paper were simple activities: yoga, meditation, breathing. He said, your pain comes from stress. These will help. His voice was calm. I wanted to believe him. That evening, I put the paper on the table. I looked at it many times. I also put the small white pills near my water glass. My daughter asked, what is this, Mama? I said, Mike for my head. She looked serious and said, will it make you better? I said, I hope so. The next morning, I started the new plan. I rolled out a mat on the floor. I moved my arms slowly. I tried to breathe deep. At first, it felt strange. My body was stiff. My mind was full of thoughts. I wanted to stop, but I told myself to try. After 10 minutes, I felt calm, but later the headache returned. I still took the pill with water. For 7 days, I did the same. I woke early. I stretched, I breathed, I sat in silence. I took the pills at the same time each day, but the pain stayed. Sometimes it was soft, like a shadow behind me. Sometimes it was hard, like fire in my head. At night, I lay awake. I listened to the clock on the wall. I wanted to sleep, but my eyes stayed open. One afternoon, I was in the kitchen. I wanted to cook soup. I cut vegetables, but the smell of onions made my head worse. My hand shook. I left the pot on the stove and sat down. The soup burned. My husband came home and asked what happened. I whispered, my head hurts. Again, he did not answer. He walked away. I felt small. The children also saw me weak. My son asked, why are you always in bed? My heart broke. I wanted to play with him, but I could not. The pain stole my time with them. I thought, am I still a good mother? The question stayed in my mind. After 1 week, I went back to the doctor. I sat in the chair with heavy eyes. He asked, do you feel better? I said, no. The pain is still here. It comes when I am nervous. It comes when I try to rest. He looked at me, then he asked, do you sleep enough? I answered, I don't know. I close my eyes, but I wake many times. I never feel fresh in the morning. The doctor wrote again. He gave me more papers. He said, take these for stress. Take these for nervous feelings. Take these to sleep. He placed the papers in my hand. His voice was firm. I felt confused. I asked, do I need all of them? He said, yes. Your body needs help. These will help you. When I came home, I opened a new Box from the pharmacy. Inside were bottles of tablets, white, pink, yellow, green. I placed them all in one big box on the table. The box looked full, too full. I stared at it for a long time. The next morning, I took the new pills. One for stress, one for nerves, another to sleep at night. My stomach felt heavy. My eyes were slow, but still the pain stayed in my head. I thought, how many more pills will I need? When will this end? At night, I looked at the box again. I felt fear. The box was not empty. It was growing. Every week, I added more. It looked like a mountain of medicine. I asked myself, am I sick in my body or sick in my mind? I did not know. My daughter came to me one evening. She sat close and touched my hand. She asked, Mama, when will you smile again? My throat was dry. I wanted to tell her the truth, but I only said soon, my dear. She kissed my cheek. After she left, I cried. The tears burned, but the pain in my head was stronger. I went to bed with the sound of my own breath. I wanted sleep, but my body refused. The pills made me slow, but they did not bring peace. I stared at the ceiling. The dark, the house was quiet, but inside me was noise. I thought of tomorrow. Another pill, another try, another pain. The next morning, I sat near the window. The sun was bright, but I felt no joy. I remembered the doctor's words again. Yoga, meditation, breathing. I tried again. I closed my eyes and took deep breaths. For a short time, I felt calm, but when I opened my eyes, the box of pills was still there on the table. My pain was still in my head. My heart was heavy. Again. This was only the beginning. My story with pills, pain, and long days had just started. Before I continue my story, please subscribe, share, and tell me where you are listening from. Your support means a lot to me. Now let's continue. The box of pills grew each week. When I opened it in the morning, the bottles looked like little soldiers and waiting or AI. Me, I took one for nerves, one for stress, one for sleep, and still the old pills for headache. My glass of water was always near. My stomach was never empty. I felt heavy, but I told myself this was my life now. The first days I thought maybe the doctor was right. My head was not clear, but the pain was less sharp. I told myself maybe it works. But soon the tiredness came. My arms were slow. My legs were weak. I wanted to read a book, but the words danced on the page. I wanted to play with my children, but my eyes closed after only 5 minutes. My husband tried to be patient. He asked me every night, did you take your pills? I said yes. He asked, do you feel better now? I said no. He sighed and turned away. He was tired too. I saw it in his face. He worked all day, and now he came home to a wife who could not cook or clean. I felt guilty. One evening, he came home and found the house dark. The curtains were closed. The food was cold on the table. I sat on the sofa, my head in my hands. He looked at me and said, you are not the same. Where is my wife? Where is the woman I knew? His words cut my heart. I wanted to shout, I am still here. But I had no strength. I only whispered, the pain will not stop. The children saw the changes too. My daughter stopped asking me to play. She sat in her room and drew pictures alone. My son often went to his friend's house. I knew they missed me, but I was too weak to give them what they needed. I felt like a shadow in my own home. One night, I woke up and looked at the clock. It was 2:00 in the morning. I felt my heart race. My mouth was dry. I stood up and went to the kitchen. I opened the big box and looked at the bottles. They all looked back at me. I thought, which one is for this feeling? Which one will make me sleep? I chose one and drank it, then another. So soon I lost count. I went back to bed and closed my eyes. The morning light came fast, but my body was heavy like stone. The doctor asked me to try yoga again, so I tried. I rolled out the mat and sat on the floor. My arms shook when I lifted them. My head spun when I bent down. After 10 minutes, I lay flat on the mat, too tired to move. I closed my eyes. I told myself I was doing relaxation. But in truth, I was only waiting for the time to pass. Meditation was not better. I sat in silence with my eyes closed, but instead of peace, I heard my own thoughts. I thought of Bill's, of my husband's sigh, of my children's quiet eyes. The doctor said to breathe slowly, but my breath felt like fire. After 5 minutes, I gave up. I thought, maybe my body is too broken for this. One afternoon, I walked to the pharmacy to buy more pills. The pharmacist looked at me with kind eyes. "You have many prescriptions," she said. I smiled weakly. "Yes, the doctor says I need them." She gave me the bags. They were heavy in my hands. On the way home, I felt ashamed. Other women carried food or clothes. I carried only pills. At home, I placed the new bottles in the box. The box was now full, too full. I pushed hard to close the lid. It made a loud sound. My daughter looked at me. "Mama, why so many?" she asked. I had no answer. I said, "Because Mama is not well." She turned away. The side effects grew. Some days my hands shook. Some days my eyes were too dry. I tried to cook but burned the food. I tried to wash clothes but forgot them in the machine. My husband looked at me and said, "These pills are not helping. They make you worse." I wanted to agree, but what could I do? Without them, the pain was still there. With them, I was slow and weak. One Sunday, I sat on the balcony. The sun was warm. Children played in the street. I held a glass of water with 2 pills inside. I looked at them for a long time. I thought of my life before. I remembered running with my children. The park. I remembered laughing with my husband at night. Where was that life? Now, I felt like it was gone. Still, I drank the water. The pills went down my throat. They sat in my stomach like stones. I waited for relief, but none came. Later that day, my mother visited. She looked at me with sad eyes. She said, "You look so pale. What is happening?" I wanted to say the truth. I wanted to say I am drowning in pills. But I only said the doctor gave me medicine. She shook her head. "Medicine is good when it helps, but too many can take your life away." Her words stayed in my mind long after she left. At night, I tried to sleep again. I closed my eyes. But the thoughts ran fast. I thought of the big box in the kitchen. I thought of my mother's words. I thought of my children alone in their rooms. I felt like I was outside of my own life looking in. The next morning, I tried to smile. I cooked bread for my children. I put butter on it. They ate quietly. My son asked, "Will you come to my school play?" My heart jumped. I wanted to say yes. But the truth was, I did not know if I would be strong enough. I looked at his small face and said, "I will try." He nodded. My daughter looked down. She did not believe me. In the afternoon, I tried to clean the house. I held a broom in my hand. After 5 minutes, my arms felt like lead. I sat on the chair and held my head. The pain came back harder. I Wanted to scream. I wanted to break the box of pills, but I only sat there. Tears ran down my face. My husband came home and saw me crying. He did not shout this time. He sat beside me. He said, "I don't know how to help you." His voice was soft. I felt a small comfort, but also more pain. I wanted him to save me, but I knew he could not. That night I opened the box. Again, I looked at the rows of bottles. I thought of my life with them. Pills for morning, pills for night, pills for stress, pills for sleep. The box was now part of my family. It sat on the table like another person. I hated it, but I could not throw it away. The days passed. Each day was the same. Wake up, take pills, feel tired. Pain, wait for night, take more pills. I was alive, but I was not living. One evening, I walked outside alone. Air was cool. The sky was pink with sunset. I heard children laugh in the street. I thought, I want that again. I want to laugh too, but then I felt the weight in my stomach from the pills. I knew the truth. My life was tied to that box. Now I went back inside. My children were in their rooms. My husband sat in front of the television. I sat at the table with the box. I opened it slowly. I looked at each bottle. My hands trembled. I whispered to myself, these pills did not heal me, they only changed me. Woke early that morning. The house was quiet. I held the box of pills and sat near the window. The light was soft. I thought of the week before. I had seen a nurse, spoken to a woman at church, and tried to walk each day. These things gave me small hope, but the pain was still there. The nurse listened. To me, she said, "Tell me all." I told her about the pills, the nights with no sleep, and my fear. She said, "You are not alone. We can try talk therapy." I had never done this, but I agreed. At the therapy room, I spoke slowly. I learned to name my feelings. I said, "I am afraid." That felt strange but true. The therapist gave me small lessons to use. When fear came, for a short time, I felt lighter. Woman from church, Lena, also helped me. She said, small wins matter. She showed me how to write a list, walk 10 minutes, drink water, call a friend. I did some items each day. The list made me feel less weak. My husband saw me try. One night he made tea and said, "I see your effort. I am here." His words gave me a little light. The children came near again, too. My daughter held my hand while we watched a show. My son read me a book. These moments were gentle, but not every day was good. One morning, the pain came back strong. I could not walk or meet the therapist. I took more pills than the doctor said. I slept long hours and woke feeling worse. My husband found me and looked afraid. "Why so many?" he asked. I said, "Pain was too much." At the clinic, the doctor warned me, too many pills can harm you. He gave me a new plan. Fewer pills, more small steps. I wanted to believe, but I was scared. I had lived with pills for so long. At home, I placed the new plan beside the box. The plan had dates and tasks. Walk right while rest. My husband said, "We will try together." I felt a little courage. The first week was hard. I took one less pill one day. That night, my head hurt again. I wanted to quit, but Lena came with soup. She said, "One day at a time." Her words gave me strength. I began a diary. I wrote one line each night. Sometimes I wrote about light on the table, sometimes about my sons laugh. The words gave me a place to put my fear. They did not end the pain, but they helped. Some weeks were better. One night, I slept 4 hours with fewer pills. I told my husband and he smiled. We ate simple food together. The children were happy to see us laugh. These were small days of peace, but stress returned, money was short, the children needed shoes. My husband was tired from work. Fear came back into my body. I returned to the pills. The box grew full again. I felt angry but helpless. One night I opened the box. I whispered, "These pills did not heal me. They only changed me." I thought of the nurse, the therapist, and Lena. I thought of my husband and children. They gave me care, but the pain still lived with me. The next day I went to the market. A woman smiled and said, "You look tired, but you are brave." Her words touched me. I told my husband. He said, "You are brave in small ways." I held his hand. I wanted to believe him. Time passed. The box never left our table. Sometimes it was more full, sometimes less. I learned to live between small steps and many pills. Some days I walked outside. Some nights I wrote in my diary. Other days I gave up and reached for the box. The year ended, and the pills were still with me. They did not cure me. They were part of my life. The small steps gave me light, but the box stayed in the house, like a shadow. One evening, I sat near the window. Sky was red with sunset. I read my diary. One line said, "Today I walked to the shop." I smiled and cried. I had small wins, but I was not healed. The pills were still on the table. My life was not free. We all go through hard times. But stories like this can help us feel seen. Thank you for watching and come back for more real moments.